This is the story of a 1932 Ford Roadster, which during the past 53 years has had 3 owners, appeared in 3 different forms, yet throughout the 53 years retained its distinct identity as the 404. Pat and Tony Berardini, 2 brothers who were early pioneers and innovators in drag racing in the early 1950s in Southern California. The distinctive logo from their muffler shop said it all: speed, power, and economy. Note the Berardini brothers' auto sales sign. In the early 1950s, they sold Fords only. 1932, 1934, 1936, 1939, and 1940 were their most popular models. The Berardini brothers were among the first racing teams with matching cars, matching tow trucks, wearing simple and tasteful uniforms. In the background is Tony's 1929 Ford gas-altered Roadster. In the foreground is Pat's 1932 Ford Street Roadster. Pat was an accomplished body and paint man. He painted the car and flames himself.
Brother Tony, back in the middle 30s, I think it was 36, 37, 38, and 39. When I was a little kid, he used to give us a riding Roadster, and it was a black 29 with white flames. In my memory, I never forgot it. So I says, doggone it, I bought the Roadster for myself originally. But I says, doggone, I'm going to surprise Tony on this thing. I'm going to paint one just like his old car. And so in my own memory, it wasn't the best flame job in town, but it was a flame job. And that's how we got the first flame jobs. And for the first job, it was pretty good, not bad.
Pat and Tony pose with Pat's gas Roadster, with a few of the trophies representing hundreds of races won at Santa Ana, Saugus, Pomona, and Bakersfield. August 1952 at Santa Ana. Tony is driving and Pat is second from the left. Note the head-high roll bar. The Berardini brothers were among the first to emphasize safety. Pat tells us about the roll bar.
The roll bar was made out of actually plumber's pipe, about 2-inch. And I bent it. It was hard to do, but we took our time and bent them right. Then we braced it up with supports on both sides, arc welded them to the bolt and bolted them to the frame. It was strong.
Were you one of the first ones to have those taller roll bars?
One of the first. I never say first because there's always going to be somebody say it was the first, but they were just starting out, and that was my own idea how to build one, and I had never built them before, but it worked out fine.
Pat's car now has lights, fenders, and windshield to run in the street class. The former 3 on the door has been replaced by 404. Pat hastily hand-lettered the new number after installation of the new Iskandarian 404 camshaft. Pat tells the story.
How'd you hear about the 404 cam?
Jim Harold says that built our engine, says Iskandarian has come out with a new cam. We wanted us to try it out, so we went over to Iskandarian, and it was one of the first cams out at that time, but we put it in our car and it proved to be excellent.
How did those numerals get on the side of the car then?
404, we had tested the car out before the Bakersfield meet. It ran so terrific. I said, God, I don't know why, but I said, God, it's got to be the 404 cam. I said, oh hell, let's call it the 404. And that's when I painted though. That's by hand right there.
You put the 404 on those.
I did 404, and he went racing, and it proved we were right. The car was fast.
Drag Racers Inc. was founded in 1953 with safety rules and inspections for items such as transmission covers, safety hubs, and roll bars. Classes were established, such as Gas Street Roadster, in which the 404 competed. Points were awarded in each class throughout the year to determine the overall winner. Pat and his wife are on the left behind the plaque signifying overall class champion for the 404, and Tony is on the right with his plaque for overall points winner in his class. The large trophy in the center for overall points champion of all classes was awarded to the Berardini brothers. The 404 rests between runs. The hood is removed to cool the powerful Ford flathead V8. Note the small Iskandarian decal on the cowl, the Drag Racers Inc. logo in the middle, and the Berardini Brothers Muffler Shop logo at the bottom. Pat changed the design of the flames 3 times. Here you see the third version, which Pat ultimately preferred. The striping and outlining of the lettering was done by the legendary Von Dutch. The Berardini cars and tow trucks were among the sharpest appearing and best prepared at Santa Ana.
Minor changes. This Roadster runs a flathead, run by the Berardini brothers.
The 404 is on your right in this historic footage taken at Santa Ana by Don Tuttle, the track announcer at Santa Ana.
Berardini car again. The Berardini run about 3 or 4 cars out there.
The 404 was the Street Roadster class champion for 6 years in a row: 1950, 1951, 1952, 1953, 1954, and 1955. During those years, it won 80 to 90% of its races. It is one of the winningest drag race cars in history. This small advertisement was placed in Drag News. After the death of a dear friend in a racing accident on the Dry Lakes, Pat, in his grief, decided to sell the 404 and stop racing. For $975, the new buyer would become the custodian of a justifiably famous and race-winning car. Ironically, in the same issue of Drag News, the story tells that the 404 set a street roadster record at the Saugus drag strip at 110.14 miles per hour. One last view of the 404 Junior as it appears days before it was sold. The Junior was in honor of Pat's son, Pat Berardini Jr., who was born in the year that Pat started racing the car. The 404 makes a rip-roaring cameo appearance in The Blackboard Jungle.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on.
Yeah. To the three of us.
To the three of us.
You all right?
What happened?
Some crazy kids, that's what happened.
Gene Lacoste is now the proud owner of the 404. This photograph was taken for the Marin County newspaper. At the front of the car is his wife Mary Lou, and at the rear is her girlfriend Corinne. Note that Pat's name has been removed from the cowl, and Gene has painted his nickname Gino in the same spot. The 404 was displayed at the Oakland Roadster Show in 1959. It received the All-American Roadster Award. This photograph is courtesy of Andy Southard Jr. It appears on page 66 of his book, Hot Rods of the 1950s. Another view from the Oakland Roadster Show. Note that Berardini Brothers, which had appeared above the 404, has now been painted over. This photo was taken at Salinas. Gene Lacoste was still running the Berardini flathead engine. On July 25, 1955, it set the track record and then broke it on October 16, 1955, at 103.45 miles per hour. Gene brings the 404 back via the return road at Salinas. Note the late 40s and early 50s cars lining the return road and the ambulance in the background. Gene Lacoste installed headlamps and retained the bob fenders to be eligible for the Street Roadster class. Gene was a member of the famous Pacers Racers from the San Francisco area. The club plaque has been mounted on the spreader bar. After setting records at 15 Northern California tracks with the flathead engine, Gene Lacoste installed an awesome Hemi engine. Gene and veteran Indy mechanic Charlie Tabucchi look at the beautifully finished racer. The timing tower in the background shows the 404 at Half Moon Bay. The slogan, "Where records are broken," proved to be prophetic. On September 10, 1961, the Hemi-powered 404 set a world record for a gas competition roadster with an ET of 11.61 seconds at 136.36 miles per hour. Tire smoke fills the cockpit as the 404 launches from the starting line. Hot Rod magazine featured the best cars. This is the cover of the October 1960 issue, which featured the 404 in a 2-page article entitled A Racing Man's Deuce. The Hot Rod magazine article details the important features of the car, including the 354 cubic inch Chrysler engine with a Winfield cam, milled heads with 12.5 to 1 compression, and a cast aluminum intake manifold with 8 carburetors. Although the car is now painted goldenrod yellow, it still bears the distinctive 404 numerals. In 1968, Rudy Perez became the third owner of the 404. The article in Street Rod Builder, August 2000, is appropriately titled History in Motion. Some cars have history, some have style. Rudy's 32 Ford Roadster has both. To carry on the tradition, Rudy's custom license plate reads 404 Junior. To adapt the car for street use, Rudy installed a small block Chevrolet engine and Power Glide transmission. As an associate member of LA Roadsters, Rudy drove the car thousands and thousands of miles, including a coast-to-coast round trip. Still known as the 404, Rudy displayed it with the LA Roadsters at the 2003 Grand National Roadster Show in Pomona, California. There it received the Brizio Family Award for the Best Street-Driven Hot Rod. At the 2004 Grand National Roadster Show, Roger Morrison of Salina, Kansas, first saw the legendary car in person. Apparently the timing was right, as Rudy agreed to sell the car so it could be restored to its original Berardini Brothers configuration by Dave Krause and his crew at Custom Auto in Loveland, Colorado. 2003 marked another landmark for the 404 and the Berardini Brothers. The Golden Age Award was created by the National Hot Rod Association to honor pioneers and outstanding individuals in drag racing's early, colorful history. The California Hot Rod Reunion at Bakersfield was the inaugural year for the Golden Age Award. Appropriately, the Berardini brothers were the recipients of the first Golden Age Award. Pat Berardini receives the Golden Age Award from Dave McClellan. A 1955 Drag News article read, "Tony and Pat Berardini are a couple of guys who have shown their interest in the problems of younger guys by helping them with information on engines, and many times have donated awards at the strips." The 404 will be shown at the 2005 Grand National Roadster Show at Pomona. Its restoration to the original Berardini Brothers form completes the cycle. Always known as the 404 through 3 owners and 3 configurations, it will once again appear as Pat and Tony raced it while winning 80 to 90% of their races. The restoration of this landmark and historic car was done as a tribute to the Berardini brothers. It will serve as a permanent reminder of their innovation, style, and competitiveness. It will provide future generations an accurate picture of one of the absolute best cars of the golden age of drag racing in Southern California.